Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about something which has been a massive part of my life, that being the spinal condition, scoliosis. If you'd like to find out more about how this has affected me, my riding, my life in general, then keep watching. Okay, let's get started. So I've got some notes over here on my laptop, so I will be looking over just to keep myself in check, make sure I don't forget anything basically. And if you do have any questions or anything, obviously drop them down below in the comments and I'll get back to you. So what is scoliosis? Scoliosis is a sideways curvature of the spine in either an S shape or a C shape.
I have a curvy spine.
It occurs in around 3% of people, so not a fat lot really, but I do know a few people that have had it as well. It's more common in us girls than guys, unfortunately, and most often it starts during like the growth spurt time, so like just when you're about to hit puberty or in teenage years basically. That is what happened to me. I've had a bit of a lighting fault, so my light has decided to die. I might just use natural light because it's actually been rainy and disgusting all day today, but the sun's actually out, so maybe we can use that. Let's go for it. Right, so what was I saying? So the cause is usually most of the time unknown, but it can be caused by like cerebral palsy or muscular dystrophy. But yeah, like I say, most of the time they don't actually know why it happens, which is kind of shit really. You know, there's no way of stopping it. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. In some cases, the degree of curve is quite mild, meaning that they won't have to have surgery, but they will probably have to monitor it over time just to see if it does get any worse, and obviously if it does, then they might need something doing. But sometimes they can get away with just wearing like a brace, which is kind of like how braces on your teeth work. You just put this brace on every day and it kind of helps you realign. But then obviously, yeah, if your curve is more severe like mine was, then surgery is the best option, unfortunately. So now you know a little bit more about it, let's talk about my experience personally. So a little disclaimer here, this is my experience of scoliosis. It really differs from person to person, so I'm going to share like my little quirks of how I began to think there just wasn't something quite right going on. Right, so I can't really remember when exactly I thought something was wrong, but I know it was earlier into high school, so maybe around like, I think it was about 12, 13-ish when I like first felt things. So a little bit of a backstory, I'd always been one of those taller people growing up through school, and I still am really. I'm 5'10" now, which isn't mega tall, but still taller than a lot of people I encounter most of the time. When I left primary school when I was 11 and we had the 6-week break before heading off to high school, I grew a lot and quick. My mum and dad both said that I grew like a foot in them 6 weeks holidays. I mean, probably a bit of an exaggeration, but it was quite a bit, which is where we all think it stemmed from, and my specialist said himself that that's probably where it began, because I was just growing too quick and my body just couldn't really keep up to do what it was meant to do properly. So I'm going through school, everything was all fairly normal. I was a very active kid at school. I was on every sports team that there was, pretty much, and I always look forward to PE, like I loved PE. Other than art, obviously. I always had some back pain. I can't really remember when that started, to be honest. I feel like I've never not felt it, so it's just been normal. But for me, one of the things I found weird and made me feel different is that I couldn't sit on the chairs. What's sounds strange, but hear me out. So these are the chairs that we had at school, in all the classrooms, in the hall for our assemblies. These chairs are designed ergonomically for kids to sit on comfortably all day and maintain a decent posture, but this only works if you have a normal straight back. So this probably wouldn't even come to mind if you are a person. We're all people. So this probably wouldn't come to mind if you are that person. But even so, no plastic chair is comfy on the arse after too long, you feel me? I just couldn't get comfy if I was sat back on it, so I'd notice mainly in assembly, when everyone's just sat there like pretty chilled, I'd end up sitting like this. I'd just be fidgeting literally the whole time, and I'd end up sitting like to the side, kind of one shoulder off the chair, and this was the only way it kind of seemed bearable. And that's because the chairs have got like a curve in them, because obviously you're meant to kind of like sit into them, but because I'm like twisted a little bit to the side as well, it meant that when I sat back in the chair it made me feel twisted. So it just wasn't comfy basically. I did have a picture of my x-ray from the side. I had some pictures of my back as well before my operation. If I do find any of those, then I will put them in. But other than that, there is a couple of pictures I've found of me sort of before I had it done, where you can kind of tell kind of what it looked like. So some other things that didn't add up were when I'd look in the mirror, you know, just standing there looking at myself, I noticed that my head and my neck was kind of tilted to the left a little bit. And then as well, the more I looked, I noticed that my left shoulder was actually like tilted down to the side a little bit, which it is still now. At the time it wasn't massively noticeable, but obviously I was standing in the mirror picking myself to bits, looking at all these different things. And then the other thing I noticed too was your rib cage. So on my right side I could feel all of them, like obviously, you know, if you feel your ribs you can feel kind of like where each one is, but on that side I could feel them fine. They were all kind of like spaced out and felt good. And then this side was just the complete opposite, so I couldn't feel anything between them. I couldn't even tell where one started and one ended, you know, and when the next one was. I just couldn't even, I couldn't find my ribs basically. I'm just going to carry on like this because I can't see very well with that sun in my eyes. Right, so because it wasn't massively noticeable, when I showed my mum and dad, when I eventually really felt like there was something wrong, I approached my mum and dad, and because I'm obviously clothed all the time, like you couldn't tell when I obviously had clothes on. So when I showed them or kind of started explaining about what I thought was weird, they didn't really kind of take me seriously. It wasn't until I said to them, like, look at me. So I stood there with just a bra on and whatever, and I said, just look at me. I said, there is something. And I told them all these little quirks and stuff, and then they were like, you know, fucking hell. Yeah, there's something's not quite right, you know? When they finally believed me, we booked a doctor's appointment, went to the doctors, went and saw the same doctor 2 times over a couple of different, you know, it was over a good span to be fair. And both times it was just put down to growing pains and just the fact I was growing, and that, you know, everything would kind of sort itself out in the end, which I knew was bollocks. I just knew, do you know what I mean? I just knew. We all know our own bodies, so I knew there was something. I didn't know about scoliosis, but I just knew. But my old doctors at the time, I don't know, every time you went, they never knew what was wrong with you. So anyway, after that, left it for a bit, but I did start to get more self-conscious about it. I think because I'd obviously noticed it now, I was noticing it more. So everything I did, and then certain things I would wear, you could see it more. It was starting to stick out more, and I just, wasn't very happy about the fact that I knew that there was something wrong, but I've been told that there's nothing wrong, you know. It came to like the final straw, 3rd time lucky kind of thing, and we decided to book another doctor's appointment, but this time we booked it with a locum doctor because we had more help from them previously with other things. We went and saw a locum. Me and my mum walked in, he asked me obviously what was wrong, and he told me to take my top off and face the other way, and straight away he looked at me and says, "You've got scoliosis." Obviously I was like, what the fuck is that? What does it mean? After he told us that, he sent me off for an x-ray straight away that afternoon. Went there, got this x-ray, saw the x-ray, and was just like, what the fuck? As if that is what I look like inside. So I'll show you here. Me and my mum were just ecstatic. Like, I couldn't believe that after all that time of knowing that there was something wrong, that there actually was, and things were going to happen, you know. Someone was going to help me. So obviously in my x-ray you can see that my ribs are obviously bunched up on the one side, and this massive 71-degree curve. And obviously I have the S shape, as you can tell, because it looks like an S, but obviously if you have a C, you literally just kind of like curve over, so you literally have a C shape. Duh. And obviously that is usually a more noticeable case of scoliosis, because when you have the S, it kind of counteracts itself. So obviously you can see on the x-ray there's all this stuff going on in the middle, but the top and the bottom are fairly normal really, and you wouldn't actually really know that there was that much wrong. A couple of weeks went by, and then we got a letter through for an appointment to go and see the specialist, so he could tell me, you know, what could be done, what it meant for me and all that kind of stuff, and what kind of things were available to me, I suppose, or what the options were. Which to me, he said, you know, I think the best thing for you to do is to have surgery, but it's not going to be for another couple of years maybe, because there is a massive waiting list for it. And with that, it meant that I had more chance to grow, because at this point I was around 14, 15 maybe. So in this time I just carried on doing what I was doing. I was just doing everything as I was normally. I was still riding my bike and everything like that. And then I finished high school in 2011. Went off to college. I was doing art and design, and I was still going for like checkups and stuff intermittently. They were kind of like every few months or so, just to check how things were, and I'd get another x-ray and just to make sure nothing is getting worse. So yeah, we were just waiting to hear about the operation, really. It was just a waiting game. Fast forward a little bit of time, it came to about April time 2012. I just turned 17. And I was just near the end of obviously my first year of my 2-year, what was it? Like BTEC thing, art thing. Yeah, we got a letter for an appointment at the hospital. So we went as normal, you know, like we did with the other ones I'd had. We just presumed it was a checkup and all that kind of stuff. But we got there and we said to them, you know, like, is there any chance that you know when my operation might be? I don't know if it was a nurse or what. Said, oh, I'll go and try and find out for you. So they go off, 5 minutes go by, they come back and they said, oh, it's 2 weeks today. And we were like, 2 weeks? Oh my God. She was like, oh, I'm sorry, you know, you didn't know about it sooner. She says, if that's the first you've heard of it? I was like, yeah. She was like, oh, well, it's then anyway. We were obviously really shocked and felt like it wasn't really time to process it. Anyway, I had to go back to college the next day on the Tuesday and tell them I wasn't basically going to be able to come in after the 14th of May. And that was kind of shit, because obviously I'd just done the whole year pretty much and I only had like a few weeks left. But it turned out okay anyway. I managed to have the operation done. And then when I kind of felt all right, I just went back in, and luckily, because most of the year was done, I only had a few little things to do, and I managed to finish them off and get my pass, which was only just a pass, by the way. And then it came to the day, the 14th of May, 2012. We were there pretty early. I can't remember what time exactly, but I went into my little room, I had to have the shower and all the like pre-op wash stuff. They put me on the bed, and then they wheeled me off down to the anaesthetic room. And my mum came with me, because you only allowed one person, even though my dad, my mum and my brother were there. We went into the room and then I was asleep, and that was it. I'm not sure entirely when I actually woke up, and I don't even know how long the actual operation was. But my mum and dad were there when I woke up. It was sort of around 7 o'clock, because that was like visiting time. I woke up and they were there basically, so I think they were waiting for me to wake up. But I woke up, my face was all numb and just felt really like thick because I'd been lay on my face for God knows how many hours. And I just felt everything just felt really weird, you know, like it was just strange. Obviously because I hadn't eaten anything since the night before, you know, because when you have an operation you have to leave it so many hours before you're getting operated. But I was absolutely ravenous, so I was asking my nurses like, can I have some toast? And they were like, oh, we don't really want you to be eating yet, you know, because you've only just woke up. And I was like, I need toast. And apparently I was quite bossy about it. Yeah, that's all I remember of that night. The next morning I got wheeled up to a normal ward, which was the same room I had a shower in and everything the day before. It was basically like a room with obviously the bed in it, and then it had like an ensuite, so it had its own like shower and toilet and everything. I don't know if I really liked that, to be honest, because I was just on my own all day. And I could see out my door and I could see across the corridor, and there was these people in the other little bits of the ward where there was beds next to each other and they were talking to each other and stuff, and I felt really quite lonely in there actually. Like hours just took forever, you know. The only person I was seeing was the odd woman coming to check or give me antibiotics, and then I'd see the tea lady, and that was it. And obviously the tea tasted like shit, but I usually had one just so I had an extra couple of minutes talking to somebody that wasn't me. Because I only had like 2 visiting times a day. There was like a lunchtime one and an evening one. It was only an hour for each, and my mum and dad or whatever, they would only come on the evening one because obviously in the day they were at work or whatever. So as it was the next day and they moved me in there, that's when you had to start the physio to get you like walking again. So yeah, I woke up with this catheter and that really freaked me out. I just forgot that I was even gonna have one, you know, or just didn't even think about it. And I woke up and I just had this fucking pipe hanging out my legs. It was bizarre. But yeah, so anyway, 2 physio guys came, and then they basically just want you to get up straight away and just start walking, or at least standing up if you can. They got me up and I basically had to like, God, it was such a weird feeling. Like it was just really strange waking up and trying to move, and obviously you do everything with that part of your body, so it was really hard work. They managed to give me like a way of sitting up, and then I had to put my feet down the side of the bed and try and stand myself up. Obviously I had a little Zimmer frame and everything. Yeah, I had to try and get myself up, and the aim was to walk, but I just couldn't do it. And then the next day they came again, and I managed to walk all the way down the corridor, around the corner and back. And then they want you to try and at least go up like a step, so at least you can do steps. So I managed to do that on the second day, which I was really proud of, because obviously I'd only had it done 2 days ago. And then I think it may have been later that day, or might have been the day after. And that, my dudes, is where we're going to end it today. So this wasn't intentional. I wasn't planning on doing 2 parts. I was planning on giving you the whole shebang in one go, but as we're already at like, I think 18 minutes, 17 minutes or so, I've actually had some problems with the clips afterwards, so I want to refilm them and make sure it'd actually be enjoyable to watch, because watching what I've just watched wouldn't be, because I was like, I don't think anybody wants to watch that. So I hope you've enjoyed part 1 today. Coming up in part 2, it'll start off with a bit of a story of something that happened while I was in hospital, and then we move on to talking about my recovery, getting back on a bike, how things have been afterwards. You'll get to see my x-ray from afterwards, how it looks now, my scars, how they look now, how my body looks now. So yeah, if you want to see all of that, make sure you check out part 2, which will be coming next week. Let me know if there's any questions or anything you've got. I'll see you in the next one.